South Carolina wins against Old Dominion in the first game of the season, but what the just happened? Locked on Gamecocks and the instant overreaction to yesterday's game begins right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I am your host, Chris Marler. It is great to have you along. I appreciate everyone that is joining us. Thank you for making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen every day, each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, today's show is brought to you by our good friends at 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast. It has zero sugar. It's convenient. It's got a portable size, and it's a perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com, use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, and receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order. Cannot be used with other promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Now, where do we begin? Because I'm very frustrated, and I know y'all are frustrated as well. And I think what we're going to do is this. This is the plan I have in place, and I hope it doesn't have to happen every single week of the season. I'm assuming it won't, but I also assumed I wouldn't have to do it after week 1 of the season. We are going to have 2 episodes about this game alone. The first one is going to be a complete, immediate, visceral, and instant overreaction to what we saw. And then we'll have another one that I'll record later tonight. I'm recording this on Sunday afternoon. I just finished watching the game for the second time. We're going to watch it one more time. And then tonight, I will interview Aaron Murray. And he was at the game, obviously, he's a color play-by-play guy. And get his thoughts and what he saw up close and personal in Williams-Brice. Because it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And listen, I think there's positive things that you're going to be able to find from this game. But right now, I'm pissed. I think a lot of fans are pissed. And I like to be as optimistic and positive as possible in almost everything that I do, especially when we talk about college football and especially on this show. But I'm pissed. Listen, we will have a more calm and logical and measured response 24 hours after the game. But right now, I got some things to say. And and y'all did too. Y'all have some stuff on social media. I told you, I posted the tweet earlier about how, let me know your biggest overreaction and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not the only one that's pissed. And you watched that game yesterday, and I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the offensive line like I think I saw everyone on social media do for a lot of yesterday, because I don't think it was the offensive line. I don't think the offensive line was the top 3 problem from yesterday. That's how bad it was. And there are some positive things to take away from this. You also look at an ODU team that has done this before. 2 other teams. I think they played 4 Power 4 opponents in the last 3 or 4 years. I talked about it. I feel 4 of those games. They won one of them against Virginia Tech. 2 of the other 3, I think, were decided by 4 points or less, or 3 points or less. But what happened yesterday was unacceptable. How do you start a season like that in a year where I know that we talk about the hot seat thing and how it's way more for show, but he also heard that in the offseason, and you would expect at the very least, not even if it's just to cool the hot seat or to prove a point, but that Shane Beamer wanted to come out there and be like, listen, we're replacing the best quarterback we've had in the program in over 30 years. We've got another great guy. I love this team. I love what we're doing. Here's the decisions that I've made with our coordinators that we kept, despite hearing a lot of scrutiny, especially about on the defense side of the ball. I'm bringing Dowell Loggins back. He caught a lot of scrutiny as well last year, but I know we lost all this in receiver, blah, 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 all that stuff. He had to hear some of it because he's too petty in his press conference to not address it in the first place. And I love that about Beamer. But how do you show up like this? And it's not just him, but he's the head coach, and it does reflect on him. And when I sit here and look at who deserves to catch heat first, and I don't know if it's I'm not trying to say we need to point a finger and blame. Anyone needs to this isn't the overall performance yesterday did not fall on one person, but I am going to start with the person that it started with the most. And that was Lenore Sellers. And yesterday he played in comparison to the rest of the league, the other 16 starting quarterbacks. I don't care how this sounds. You can get mad about it all you want in the comments. I don't care. The whole theme of this show is an instant overreaction. Lenore Sellers was the worst quarterback in the SEC yesterday. I don't think he will be through a whole season. I think he's got a ton of upside. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he played maybe the worst game that he has probably played in a long time yesterday. It might have been the worst game he's played in his life because if you think about like being a 4-star recruit and how great he's been, I'm sure, and how much he dominated in high school. And he's a winner, and he won yesterday. But I bet if you asked him, he would not have loved that performance. It felt very much like I went 1 for 5. I'll use a baseball analogy. That's what I played in college, but it's like if we went 1 for 5 with 3 or 4 strikeouts and you reached base twice because you had a pass ball in one of the strikeouts. It was real bad. And I wanted to start with Dow Loggins because I thought the offensive play calling was so bad. I thought it was so bad. And it's everything about the game itself was disjointed, from the lightning delay, from even like, just different things that you did. Juju McDowell gets loose on the left-hand side of the left side of the field, gets over near the boundary, gets tackled by his own quarterback. It felt like there were a lot of gifable moments of like what you guys have told me as somebody that's only covered this for 2 months. This is what it's like being a South Carolina fan. And again, I think there's a lot of positives still for the rest of the season. But what happened yesterday was awful. It was awful. You had a 4-point win against a group of 5 team, Old Dominion, and you won by 4 while getting 2 fumbles inside of their own 10-yard line. Hats off to being able to force the fumbles. That defensive line was phenomenal all day. Kennard is a absolute problem. Hemingway looked good. Sanders, Huntley, everything looked good. I just don't understand how you come out like that. And it's one of those things where it's like, dude, they come out and ODU has the ball first. And the very first play of the game, you see Demetrius Knight come out here and flying across the field, just like I kept saying all offseason. Guy that runs clocked it over 21 miles an hour. Like, you're going to come out in the 4.25. You come out in the 4.25, and it's like, this is what I think they look most comfortable on. You have 2 down linemen. Even though you're in the 4.25, you get across the front of that D line. You got 2 guys off the edge standing up, and we were going to get after that quarterback's ass all day, and they did, But you back them up. You get a turnover 3 plays in, and you think you score on the first play, and I mean, Williams-Brice erupts, and I was watching this, and I'm sitting here thinking like, this is going to all effing day. What a start. You could not have asked for a better start. And then that's when the disjointed, weird blank started happening. It was, the call's overturned, he's down at the 1. Then you can't punch it in on the second play on a QB sneak. No reason you can't get a push on a QB sneak from the 1-yard line with a 6'3", 240-pound quarterback and that offensive line. Couldn't do it. Barely get it on 3rd down. So you score. You're up 7-0. 2 plays. 2 plays in 30 seconds. 72-yard bump. They just did not do things at any point yesterday where it felt like, on offense especially, but even as a whole, as a team, it's just dumb mistakes repeatedly, getting in your own way repeatedly, like 1 step forward, 2 steps back all day. And it started up front with Lenore Sellers. And I wanted to blame Dow Loggins because there's a part of me that watched that yesterday and it was like, I've seen enough. I don't care. This should not ever be happening. And you should have had this kid ready to play. Put in Sean Elliott right now. Let him call plays and let's go. Because what happened yesterday, I was so pissed watching the first half of it. But then when you go back and rewatch the first quarter, and it's like, well, like the very first play, you run an RPO and you put Sanders out in the flat and you get him in space. You get Sellers in space, and you give him an easy dump off pass to get his confidence up, get a chunk play, and what does he do? Doesn't throw in the ball. That had to be the play call. They went through it in walkthroughs. They went through it all off. You had to know that with a new starting quarterback, the first play was going to be something like that. Swing pass, not dig route, or like a screen pass to the receiver, or swing pass to the running back. A small, easy, high percentage throw, get some confidence. Let's get this thing going. And on the very first play, Sellers doesn't get the ball out of his hands. How bad was he in the first half? He was really bad. And again, I bet if you asked Lenore Sellers, he would say himself, this is one of the worst games he's played. I mean, this is what you looked like on 3rd down. Okay. This is what you looked like on 3rd down. In the first half, these are the numbers from Laura Sellers on third down. There were 7 total third downs he faced. He got 1 first down, right? You had twice where, and by the way, let's be very clear here. The one first down you got was on 3rd and 2 at the end of the half, and he got a 4-yard gain and the clock expired and ran out and going into halftime. That's the one first down you got. On the other 6, you're over. He had, outside of that, he had 1 play for positive yardage on third down and it was a 3-yard run on 3rd and 4. He was 0 for 3 for 0 yards passing. He got sacked twice. This is all in the first half. He ended into the first half with negative 9 yards total offense on third downs. Now, here's the thing. Lenore Sellers is the leader of this offense, so it does fall on him. But my God, can we get this kid some help? Where's the separation from any of the receivers? Where's the creativity in the play calling? Like, what are we doing? Like, what? Like, from start to finish. And I tell you what, I know Shane Beamer knows a lot more about special teams than I do. But why? Why on God's green earth, especially on the depth chart, when you put Nick Harbor is going to be the other kick returner with Juju McDowell, why are you only putting one person back there? I don't know if Harbor did something, if it was a disciplinary thing. I don't think it was. I'm not going to speculate on that because I haven't heard anything, and I doubt that's what it would have been. But outside of maybe some weird, well, we want to have an extra guy being able to block, so we have one guy deep. Why would you not at least just have another dude back there and then say, hey, like, I'm going to force you to kick it away from him? Why would you put one person back, let him run? It's like 53.5 yards on like the width of a field. Why do you have one guy back there? Of course, if I'm the kicker, I'm just kicking it to like the 5-yard line over in the corner and making Juju run all the way over there. And like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? It felt like it was the first scrimmage, not the first game, but the first scrimmage of fall camp. So many mistakes. And I just, none of it, especially in the first half, that's just not how you can come out there. You go and get a lead. But outside of the first 51 seconds of the game, it was a disaster. Let's do a stupid ad read and keep this thing going. Because I listen, I probably shouldn't say that. I don't want to get in trouble with the sponsors because we have lovely sponsors. But I'm just so incensed right now with anger. It's like, I just don't get it. I just don't understand how that is the product that was put on the field yesterday after all this offseason. So, before we get back into it, I got more stuff to say about Sellers, and again, I got a lot more things to say about other people. But first and foremost, let's talk about our good friends at 5 Hour Energy. You guys have heard me talk about them a lot. Listen, I use 5 Hour Energy multiple times a week. I love going up to Lowe's, right behind my neighborhood. Go in there. They always have watermelon, which is my favorite one. It tastes really, really good. Take a 5 hour before you have to get stuff done. It's a to-do list. If it's a show, if it is a workout, whatever you need to do, tackle a to-do list with a 5 Hour Energy. It fixes tired fast, whether you have a long list to do for work or a list of DIY projects to tackle at home. Take a 5 Hour Energy shot. You can check everything off your list. And if you're like me, you always have a large list of products or projects at home. It's Sunday right now. I'm recording. I don't know how I managed to do this, but I got the GF out running errands right now so I could rewatch the game for the second time. But, tired doesn't happen when you have 5 Hour Energy. When you get your supplies for the project, do not forget the most essential supply, which is a 5 Hour Energy shot. With zero sugar, convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors galore. Again, I told you about watermelon, tropical burst, grape. Not a fan of grape. Berry. There are so many good ones. They have like a blue raspberry one. They got a strawberry watermelon one, strawberry banana, all available on the site. And you can even have your option to build your own custom 12 or 24 pack. So make sure you do that. Choose the flavors delivered right to your door. So remember, if you go to 5hourenergy.com, that is the number 5, hourenergy.com, get some 5 Hour Energy product today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, get 20% off your first order. All right, we're going to take a quick little break. We're going to be right back into this. All right, let's get back into this. And I want to talk about just the frustration I was having on the rewatch. And I brought the third down conversions because I thought it was a very big issue in this game because you're only 5 of 18 on third downs. You're only 5 of 18. 3 of those came in the first half. And again, one of them was on 3rd and 2 to end the half. It's a nothing down, whatever. One was 3rd and goal from the 1 that you punched in for a touchdown in the very first drive of the game with Sanders. The other one was a 3rd and 1 where Rocket got a 1-yard run. So the 3 conversions you did get in the first quarter, first half, you had 3 third downs. 2 of them were 3rd and 1, or one was 3rd and goal. But 3rd and 1 yard or less to gain, and the other one was 3rd and 2. And even then, you got a total of 6 yards. Not a ton of push up front from that offensive line, which was very frustrating. But I don't blame them for everything else. At one point, you had a 3rd and 3, and you only got 2 yards. I told you about the Sellers when you had 3rd and 4, and you got 3 yards. Guys, you had situations yesterday where in 7 third downs that Sellers was responsible for. And you know what? I'll do this. I'll do 6 because I'm not even going to include the 3rd and 2 that was the end of the first half. But in 6 of those third downs, where they called a play call to like a pass, or the one that he had a run. In 5 of the 6, it was 3rd and 8 or more, and we talked about that beforehand. It's like you cannot get into these, especially with a first game starting quarterback. You cannot be in 3rd and 8 or more routinely, and that happened for a lot of reasons. But it was like, again, this is 3rd and 4. You only get 3 yards. 3rd and 3, and the other one with Rocket Sanders, you only get 2 yards. What are we like? It felt like a lack of creativity, and maybe it's because Shane Beamer and Dow Loggins didn't want to put anything on tape for Kentucky. Maybe, but I tell you what, for 60 minutes, at some point you got to look at this and be like, maybe we do need to put some blank on tape. Like maybe we do need to put something on tape. Again, I'm not trying to be a huge Debbie Downer here, but this game was gifted to South Carolina when you look at it. I mean, they made a ton of mistakes, but dude, you still got 2 times they fumbled the ball inside of their own 10-yard line and you recovered. That's not going to happen every week. It's not going to happen every week. Where are the receivers? Here's another one. And this might be the best example out of all of them about what it feels like watching this game. Because I've only been covering this team specifically for 2 months. And I've talked to a lot of you about games and all that kind of stuff in the past and all that. And you guys have it's the meme of where somebody's got a noose around their neck and it's like, oh yeah, first time. That's how you guys have approached this when I'm like, what is this about? What is this about? But it was very frustrating yesterday. And again, you talk about the down and distance on 3rd down, you're behind the chains a bunch, the self-inflicted wounds. Kai Kroger completes another pass and touchdown on special teams, and it's called back. So you have a touchdown taken off the board. That's incredibly, incredibly frustrating because, again, it's a massive momentum swing. How about on the other side when you go in trying to block a punt? And I understand this is going to happen, especially in Beamer ball when you're trying to get into the backfield and block punts and switch up, change field position, all that kind of stuff. But you run into the kicker, and on 3rd down, they get a first down. Dumb crap like that. I'll tell you one that made the most, maybe the most frustrating, that feel like it was the most fitting of the 1 step forward, 2 step back thing was early in the first quarter. You got a quarterback who is really struggling with his confidence, right? He looked so uncomfortable trying to make decisions. His decision-making lacked any sort of confidence. The 4th and 1, right? I told you about on 3rd and 4 when he got a 3-yard run, they said to go for it early on. And they run Rocket Sanders. He gets a 1-yard gain. The 4th and 1 at the mesh point in RPO and zone reads. Even then, he felt like he didn't know what to do. It felt like he was doing too much, and he did not slow the game down enough in his head. And again, part of that does rest on Dow Loggins, though, because even with the first design play of the entire game that he called, at some point you got to see your quarterback is struggling, and you got to change it up. I'm glad they didn't take him out, right? I think that is a positive to take away from this because I think it would have made sense, and I saw people say this I saw people say this maybe you should bring in Robbie Ashford. Maybe I heard somebody bring in Doty. I think that part was a joke, but the thing with that is I think that you would have had long-term damage to his confidence if you did take him out. So I'm glad they didn't do that. But here's a play that was the epitome of the 1 step forward, 2 step back thing. Early first half. Lenore Sellers drops back, throws a bomb, 66 yards in the air, release that ball from his own 8-yard line, hits Jared Brown right in the hands. I mean, a dime. Hits him right in the hands. He drops it. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, and while this is happening in real time, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, see, that kind of crap is what you have where, I'm getting text galore right now of this. But right when that happens in real time, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, here's the deal. If you already have a struggling quarterback that's lacking confidence, that kind of crap is what turns it around. Not only is it something huge for his confidence because now you are up 17-7 in this situation, right? You also have the stat sheet is padded because you've got basically like an 85-yard touchdown from where they were on the field. And now you got a quarterback that's like, yeah, I might have missed a couple early throws. Like I rolled out to my right. I somehow missed Harbor, I think it was, like on an overthrow. I tucked the ball a couple times. I probably should have just like thrown it out of bounds or hit somebody in the flats. Like all those things. Like struggled early with my confidence, but look what I can do. Like that's the kind of player I am. And so I'm sitting here thinking in my head, I'm like, you got to make catches like that to build confidence. And that's 6. Like that's 6. And even if he would have caught it then, guys, then you find out you lined up wrong. It's so many things. The 5 of 18 on third down. Sellers took 3 sacks on third downs, right? They had 4 sacks all day that you gave up. 3 of them came on third down. A couple of them were like, you're at I believe it was like the 16-yard line. You take an 8-yard sack, and he still made the field goal, but it's like now you're talking about a 31-yard field goal versus a 40-yard field goal. Like there's just situations like that you cannot get into. Or like I think at one point it was 3rd and 8 or something like that from like midfield. You get 5 or 6 yards, you might be able to either one punt them deep or go for it, right? But instead, take an 8-yard sack, and now you're moving back. Now you definitely have to punt. Josiah Thompson late in the fourth quarter. You got a 4th and 3. You got a rookie or you got a true freshman starting at left tackle, and this is going to happen. But pre-snap penalty, moving back 5 yards. I brought up the roughing the punter. I brought up like the Harbor thing on the kick return. There were just so many mental mistakes. And again, like I'm thrilled that the defense did exactly what you needed them to do. Again, tons of positives on the defense. Sure, you had some broken plays. You only gave up six plays of 10 yards or more. So it's like you limited them. But penalties and key moments, right? Let me look up the total penalties real quick. Penalties and key moments. I mean, guys, you're not going to be gifted games like this, like where you had the ball. You had the ball for 35 minutes. It didn't feel like that at all. Lenore's 10 for 23 for 114 yards. You did run the ball, but you only averaged 3 yards per rush. Didn't have a ton of penalties, but they were in key moments. You were held under 300 yards of offense. You have to be happy that you came away with a win. And I don't even know if you turn on the tape after this, man, because there are it was such an ugly win that it almost felt like a loss. And I had a lot of people that were telling me that. So here's the last thing. All right, and again, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to focus on some positives later on in the show, in the second show. We will talk with Aaron Murray, and Aaron Murray was there. It's funny, man, because Aaron and I had a conversation before his trip to Columbia, or while he was on his trip to Columbia, and he was like, "Yeah, I got a 2.5 hour drive from Atlanta to there." I was like, "First off, if you make it from Atlanta to Columbia 2.5 hours, I'm very concerned about how fast you're going." But we're sitting there talking. He's like, I'm assuming it's going to be like a little bit of a blowout, and like in the second half, like we'll have some talking points, just like like anything I didn't know about, blah blah blah. And so him and I are just catching up on that and just talking about South Carolina in general and all these like really fun, cool talking points that I thought would be interesting. That like he did his research, he told me a bunch of stuff, but it ends up being not that, and it should have been. By all means, yesterday, besides the rain, should have been a great day in Williams-Brice. And again, we will talk about the positives. And the defense did step up, and you did force 4 turnovers. And you got to love the fact they barely gave up over 300 yards, all that kind of stuff. But I expected more from this team in game 1. I just flat out. I expected more from this team in game one. Now we're going to close with this. I asked you guys what your overreactions were, as well as your logical reactions, which we will talk about as well. But I asked you what your overreactions were. And this is what I got. Okay. This is what you guys sent me. And, sometimes it's cathartic and therapeutic to get this kind of stuff out. So here is what you guys had to say. And I'm glad we can get this all off our chest. And then what we're going to do, we'll put it in a box and throw it out to sea and see you later. I don't think that's the right saying, but you know what I mean. And we won't be as negative moving forward. But here's what I got. I said, about to record the first of 2 reaction pods from the South Carolina ODU game. Tell me your biggest overreaction and logical reaction in the comments. First up, we have SEC Mike. Mike Bratton said, I'm not convinced South Carolina will win a league game if they play like this all season. Okay. Now, Gamecock Zach, I thought this was one of the best comments that was made, was we have an Iowa offense with a Georgia defense. I think he might be right. And he also loved the fact that he summed it up in one sentence. Like, yeah, that is how that looked. Jor says, sell sellers. Wasn't great. I'm glad they stuck with him. But, he cannot play like this if you expect to win multiple games in a row. Right? It's just not going. The ceiling will be so much closer to the floor than even it was a year ago if this is how he plays the whole year, which I don't think he will. Not Chris Braswell says South Carolina will in fact lose to Vanderbilt if they play him this year. They do play him this year. And Vanderbilt came out with a big win on their first game. Dogfather says, my biggest reaction is that South Carolina won't win a single SEC game. That's the second person that said it. I don't think it's right. And then we have Rex. I'm not going to say his last name, but that's really good. Dale Denton, 1974, says, Beamer should have been fired before the game ended. Now, I don't think that, and I'm not going to start after one game saying that Shane Beamer should be fired when you won the game. But there were a lot of people, especially on social media, which is where you expect it to come from, that did not have a lot of friendly things to say about Shane Beamer after the first game. So, guys, that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got right now. And I want to apologize again. I know sellers, we were kind of harsh about some of the things that happened there and all that. It's got to be better. You got to be better. Just flat out. You got to be better. And if they play like this in Kentucky, they're going to lose. If they play like this against LSU, Ole Miss, Bama, A&M, maybe not A&M, Mizzou, Clemson, maybe not Clemson, you're going to lose. Got to figure it out. I'm pissed. I had to go to a damn baby shower thing yesterday that I agree. It was my fault I agreed to go. Because I just thought in my mind, we'll go there at halftime. It'll be fine. Game will be in hand. We can sit there, make pleasantries, say nice things, all that kind of stuff. Oh, it's a girl, whatever. Instead, we get there, and I have to look like a lunatic watching the second half of South Carolina Old Dominion in front of a bunch of strangers in my girlfriend's front. So not thrilled about that. But like I said, we will get to some of the positives later. And I will tell you one positive thing that if you are as down as I am even watching that, here's one positive right here. Clemson got their ass beat. Clemson's real bad. So there's that. Now, it's a long season. We got a long way to go. And the other positive I'll tell you right now, you're 1-0. A win is a win is a win is a effing win. So there you go. All right. I love y'all. We'll talk to y'all later. I'll probably even do my hair in that one or wear a hat or something. I don't know. But sadness is out. We're going to have a logical reaction later. Make sure you stay tuned for that. I hope all of you had a fantastic Sunday. We still got 2 more games left. College football to watch. I hope you have a fantastic Labor Day weekend. If you're listening to this up at the Lake Murray, or somewhere else, I don't know. Maybe you went down to Lake Kiwi to troll some Clemson fans. I don't know. But please be safe. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. And I'll talk to you all later. Go Cox.